I taught elementary school for years. And I can think back now, Katie, of that very first year, I had a clipboard. I taught fourth graders, and I was like, oh my God, I'm responsible for someone else's children. I didn't have any kids. I was just like, oh my God, I can't lose anybody. And then, at the end of the year, I said, guys, we're going to have this conversation about how our year was. And at the end of the year, they said, Ms. Belcher, you held onto that clipboard for the first 2 months of school.
Like never putting it down?
It was my security blanket, Katie. And then it was like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm feeling good about this. I've got this.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become the best possible versions of themselves and to strive for overall health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, all of the healths, without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who've been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time somebody shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. What up, beasts? Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm hanging out with resilience and transformational coach, author, speaker, mom, activist, and community activist, Lorena Belcher. Lorena is a retired educator and police officer, and her story is one of resilience and passion. As always, I hope something lands with you today. I hope something you hear tugs on your heartstrings, and or I hope you laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am with Lorena Belcher, and we are kind of new friends.
Yes.
Would you say that? Yeah?
I would.
Yeah. We are in one of my coaching programs together, and just a bunch of beautiful souls. So I decided to connect with her, and here we are. Lorena, could you please tell my listeners who you are?
Hi, everybody. Hi, how are you? And I apologize in advance for a really raspy voice, but it is what it is.
No worries at all. It's very like, hi.
I know. I was like, are you sure?
Hello, Katie's listeners.
I know, all the listeners. Well, everyone, I am a resilience and transformational coach. First of all, I'm an author, a speaker, and a coach. A mom, an activist, a community advocate, community trainer. Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Did I love all of them? Because I loved all of it. Okay, awesome.
Lots of loves.
So how did you get into coaching?
Coaching. I think I've been coaching all of my life. And I've been supporting people with goals and dreams. And we would come up with a plan and they would do it. And then I decided, you've been doing this for so long. Why don't we get some more skill sets in, get some certification, and get some more results? And yeah.
So you kind of just
full time.
Nice.
Well, not quite full time because I'm speaking and I'm working on another book. So yeah.
I think speaking is kind of a form of coaching. If you're teaching.
Yes.
It
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So you've kind of just been naturally coaching in whatever it is you're doing at the time.
Exactly. I've been bringing it. I'm a retired educator. So I brought the coaching in to my students, the coaching to my families, co-workers. It just seemed like it was a natural weaving, just teachable moments, coachable moments, really.
Nice. I love it. And so who would you say you coach now? Like is there like a particular kind of person that you coach now?
Yeah, like my niche,
Mm-hmm.
my ideal client. Yeah, I
Yes.
am carving that out as we speak. But yeah, I coach single moms who are navigating and coping with their own sexual trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and then they find out about their teen daughter's
Mm.
sexual trauma. So generational trauma, how to coach the moms to get through it, to not just get through it, not just become resilient, but be the model for their children.
Mm.
And just like we're stopping it here. This is the last generation. We're talking about it, we're having the hard conversations, and we're
Yeah.
gonna get through this together as a family.
Yeah. From the inside out.
Inside out.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Let it come
unpack
up.
it, let it all bubble up.
Yep. Yeah.
Because
That's
the children
awesome.
teach us quite a bit
Yes, they
if we
do.
listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm definitely learning a lot from my almost 6-year-old. So
Yes.
yeah.
He's in full bloom right
Yeah.
now.
He's reminding me to dance without caring, you know. Um,
Oh, I love their ability to do
yeah. Like he's still at that age where he hasn't been told that something that is okay is actually wrong, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't tell him, don't dance like that, you'll embarrass yourself. But that's something that like my grandmother would have said to me back then. But he's at this age like he doesn't care. It's not wrong, and I'm just gonna let him do it.
Yeah.
You
And
know
look
what I
at
mean?
you evolved mom.
Oh, I try. I'm still learning.
But we learn. I mean,
Yeah.
you could see your grandma or your mom without villainizing them, but just noticing that, you know what, I don't want to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
want to keep him open.
Yeah.
I don't want him to close up.
Yeah. Definitely. So one thing I remember about when we were learning about each other in our class
Yes.
um, is that you've had quite a plethora, I guess, of different careers. And
Yes.
so I'm interested in a little bit about each one and what
Okay.
made you decide to go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess the first one was education. I finished college, and it took me a minute because I did the 7-year program. Uh, but I said never give up and never quit. So see, coaching came in handy anyway, right?
There you go.
And I taught elementary school for years. And I can think back now, Katie, of that very first year. I had a clipboard. I taught fourth graders. And I was like, oh my God, I'm responsible for someone else's children. I didn't have any kids. I
Uh-huh.
was just like, oh my God, I can't lose anybody. And then, at the end of the year, I said, guys, we're going to have this conversation about how our year was. And at the end of the year, they said, Miss Belcher, you held onto that clipboard for the first 2 months of school.
Like never putting it down.
It was my security blanket, Katie. And then it was like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm feeling good about this. I've got this. Then I went on and then I got kind of like, I don't know if this is it. I just don't know. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what's it, so to speak? But there were some detectives that came to one of the schools where I was teaching, and they were just really interesting. And I just asked them some questions about, being a police officer and, getting to the different aspects of what you could do in law enforcement, not just on patrol per se, but just, of course, that's where everybody goes. That's where everybody starts. And then you can do other things. And so, yeah, one thing led to another. It was like, oh, yeah, just go try taking the exam. And, took the exam, passed that. Then they'd schedule me for a psychological exam, passed
Mm-hmm.
that. Then they scheduled me for a physical exam, passed that. So one thing led to another. And yeah, I was on the department for 2 years. I arrested people, and they were telling me I was too nice. And
you trying to coach him as you were resting
Yeah,
him?
no, I really wasn't coaching him. I was like, this is just me or you. And you decided to do something that happens to be against the law.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging you as a horrible human being. It's just, as long as you don't try to hurt me, I have no reason to hurt you.
Yeah.
And it was pretty simple. And, it taught me a lot of things because I was 5'2", a good 30, 40 pounds smaller. And I was like, okay, you're not growing anymore. So, physical instructors were like, well, Belcher, you're going to have to use your legs and your butt because that's where your muscles are.
Mm-hmm.
Your upper body strength is not as is the same as some big man that's 6'2", 6'5". How are you going to take him? Oh yeah, I was taught how to take a guy that's 6'2" or 6'4". Sweep. And yeah.
Nice.
And then I decided, I don't think this is it either because I just wasn't. I felt like every time as police officers, we got there so late. We came at the worst time of people's lives.
Yeah.
The most personal, the most humiliating, the most embarrassing, the most unforgiving, just times where they weren't the best. They weren't their best selves. I was like, ooh, this is not working either. So I said, maybe I can go back to teaching and see how I can get kids to make really different decisions about their lives so that, we all need community, but what kind of community choices are we making? Even though some communities, what's available is slim pickings, just making an impact that is somebody who thought you were better than that. So that was my reason for going back.
Okay. Yeah. So you would say that being a police officer was kind of getting to you mentally?
Oh yeah.
Or emotionally,
I
or
would
both?
say it was both. It was both. And then I was going through my own stuff. And I was like, I don't think I need this anymore. And it was like, I don't need to prove a point to anybody. I don't think I need this anymore. This is just not my calling. This just isn't, because I'm not excited about all the stuff that everybody else is excited about. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But it's not like, oh, this is so much fun. I'm like, not really. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hard. It was very harsh realities that you had to face. And, it was just really a challenge in those ways to see how I wanted to. At that time, I had a daughter. I was navigating like, wow, I'm not getting married after all. He changed his mind. And this was before ghosting was a thing. So yeah, that was a lot. That was just a lot. And so I decided, you know what? Let's just go on back to teaching and see how we can do this. And then, like I said, I was like, it's driving me nuts. I don't know if I can do this. And then I got laid off.
From
education. Yeah, I got laid off because there was a time when I had some certification that you needed and I didn't have it. And it was like, I didn't have it at the time that they needed it. So literally I was laid off for about, I just went on and took the 2 years off and decided to go back and get another master's in psychology for marriage and family therapy. And a friend of mine said, I think you'd like this, Lorena. This is, just open up some other options for you too, just to incorporate whatever you decide to do. And I was like, I did, my internship, and then after graduation, working with trauma survivors of interpersonal violence, sexual violence. And it's like, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I got myself back at it and no longer resisting, so to speak. So yeah, went through my own divorce and stuff and got out of my own traumatic, volatile relationship. And I said, I'm here to help other people know that, oh my God, life is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is very beautiful. But, sometimes you have to step away and do the work yourself.
Yeah.
So lots of therapy, some coaches, but lots of therapy with my family, my daughters, just,
And life seems extra beautiful after you've gone through the dark a little bit.
You know what? How can we see the amazing light and the beauty if they're, we don't recognize joy if there's no pain sometimes.
Yeah.
But we also have to expect the joy and
Mm-hmm.
not, so to speak, wallow in the pain, not stay in it, not marinate in it, not wear it as a badge of honor. It's like, oh, no, no, no. No victim mentalities. Let's take ownership and responsibility for wherever we are in life.
Yeah.
Not to excuse people who do not so
Right.
great things,
Yeah.
but just to look at who was I when I was there? How did I get there? It's important that we still ask ourselves those questions.
Especially when it seems like it came on so slowly and suddenly at the same time, if that makes sense. Like for
Yes,
me, in all
exactly.
of my depression scenario, not scenario, what's the word? Depression phases,
Episodes. Okay, or
episodes. We'll
phases.
go
Yeah.
with episodes. It's like I I would pause and just be like, okay, how did I get here? You know?
And I don't want to be here any longer.
Yeah. And some people don't understand that sometimes depression isn't necessarily sadness. It's just not wanting to do anything or get out of bed or go anywhere. I'm like, why am I here? Why don't I want to do anything?
Yeah, that loss of interest,
Yeah.
you can't sleep, you just sort of like whatever, you're not going to doctor appointments, you're not going to dental appointments, just these little things that are like, oh, it's not necessary. Depression doesn't always have to be loud. However, it can be loud.
Mm-hmm.
It can be loud too. And, annoying and rambunctious and thought of as, wow, why are you angry? Why are you upset? And it was like, ooh, this is some unresolved stuff. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
I have a history of being a stuffer,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not talking about my bra. Uh, but yeah, so like whenever we talk about if it can come up, it can come out. I'm at a point right now where I'm like, please just make it come up so I can get it out,
Yeah.
So,
Almost like an induced vomiting. Could we hurry
yeah.
this up? And it's like, no, there's no more. We just have to wait until it arises in that moment. And you're like, ooh.
So tell me, rewind a little bit. How
Sure.
was when you went back to being an educator after being a police officer? How did that change how you teach?
Oh, a lot. Because I really could see the trajectory of some children's lives if there wasn't a change.
Mm.
And not so much, oh my God, the academics. It was like each child needs to know that they are just amazing and important and seen. These kids deserve to be seen. Everybody's not going to learn at the same time, whatever the groupings are, whatever your curriculum choices, your teaching methods, all that's great. But if somebody's hungry or if somebody just barely made it to school because it was chaos, they're really not thinking about the curriculum. And they could be very bright students.
So almost like being a police officer let you see what these kids could become if they didn't make the changes now while they're still kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And to let them know that they have the power,
Mm-hmm.
they have a voice, and they have choice. So that was part of the psychology stuff after I went back. And then it was like, then I taught middle school. So they were curious about me. Oh, Miss Belcher, you were a cop. Did you pull your gun? Da, 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 da. And I was like, okay, a couple
Kids.
of times, but nothing, I was
Yeah.
fortunate that, nothing happened. And yeah, so it's not a toy and it's not something to play with.
Yeah.
It's a huge responsibility. And being a teacher, being a police officer, being a therapist, they're all you hold a lot of power and influence. And so it's super mindful of the power.
What are some of the things that you've seen in people just based off of everything that you've done as a career? What are some of the things you've seen in people that you don't think I don't want to say the real world, but other people would see in people?
I think we're so caught up about outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're so disconnected from ourselves, I think, sometimes. that we're validated by everyone outside of us, as opposed to owning our brilliance and our uniqueness. Part of that uniqueness means that, I'm not going to fit in all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but it's okay too. Make your own way. Yeah. I just think people can give each other a chance.
Yeah.
Just wait before we make a judgment about somebody.
It's like that statement that or a meme or quote card or whatever you want to call it that says, don't judge a person because you never know what battle they're fighting right now.
Completely. Yeah. I've seen that on some depression commercials or advertising or something like that. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. We don't know what battle people are fighting, and whether they're quiet or loud. That's their way of asking for help in a straight way, I think.
Well, what are some of the battles that you fought in secret?
Wow, in secret. Ooh, Katie. Well. The biggest battle is my self-worth, I believe. And am I enough?
Yeah.
Am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I enough to pull this off? Yada, yada, yada. Just the constant questioning of, I don't know if I can do this, but all you can do is try. So I just kept putting myself out there. And once I kind of debunked the myths that those were just myths. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. So that was part of why I wrote the affirmation book last year. And it has stems where you can write your own affirmations that are relevant to you in 5 different areas. But because I just felt that if we take a look in the mirror and we really accept and love what we see, yeah, they're flaws. Yeah, they're imperfections. But who said we had to look a certain way? Who said now if it's unhealthy? But guess what? You still get to choose. And that doesn't make you good or bad. It's just, that's
a
what
choice.
I chose.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Do you think any of you previously mentioned being in a violent relationship? Do you think any of that not enoughness came from that?
Yes, definitely. And I believe that it even came probably earlier than I thought about. I mean, I was sexually assaulted at 17. And so technically that's still a kid.
Yeah.
I was pretty naive. I was a senior in high school, but super shy, naive. And so, yeah, that circumstance perhaps, and I'm, not blaming my parents. They did the best they could with the knowledge they had rather, and with the emotional state that they had. Because our parents are battling their own stuff 99% of the time. It's like, oh, I got to navigate my stuff and raise children.
Yeah. Was it, if I may ask, was it a family member?
For the
sexually assaulted you?
It was a friend. It was my aunt's best friend's
aunt's best friend's son.
Now, yeah, aunt's best friend's son. Now, my family, my mom knew of her and her son, and the family knew, and I never told. So that's another thing that led to that inner, just that cycle of thoughts of nothingness or unworthiness, and it just compounded. And it's like, oh, if we don't stop and break the cycle for a second, or just break that pattern of thinking, then we just might find ourselves in more victimizing situations. And I think that's what led to marrying someone that I really hadn't taken the time to get to know, but, in love with the idea of the marriage. And, I look back and we're parents of 2 wonderful young adult daughters. Now we get along well, but there was a time we didn't. Whew, this is hard.
That's good though that you do now.
Yeah. And I was like, it's nothing to do with me and you. The girls need to see us get along well, wish each other well. You're in a relationship and, I'm open to one. And I don't even blame you for stuff. I just forgiveness and gratitude and moving forward in what I can do,
Mm-hmm.
faith, all of that just was like, girl, it's on you to get some stuff done. We
Yeah.
can't keep looking in the rearview mirror and call ourselves driving. You know?
I love that. Oh, so when was the first time you actually told somebody about it? Your assault?
Yeah, let's see. Gosh, now I did tell a dear friend. She was in the 12th grade. Oh, no, she was in 11th grade. She was my best friend at the time. She was 11th grade. I was 12th grade. But I swore to secrecy. And so she kept it. And then I think when I finally told my mother was after I graduated college and came home and just decided, oh, I'm going to tell her what really happened. And she was mortified, upset, and angry. And, she didn't, she was like, oh, I wanted you to, I would have loved for you to have told me, but I understand why you didn't. She was like, yeah, because I probably would have killed him. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this woman, I know her. She's like, I don't know about going through the judicial system. I don't think she's going to do that.
Mm.
I was like, okay. And in my head, it was like, I can't lose my mother. And by that time, my parents had divorced. I was like, I can't lose my mother and my father. That's just not going to work. And I didn't tell my dad ever, Katie.
Ever.
Ever. I never told him. And I didn't know if there was a value in it at some point, because it was like, not so much that, oh, you got over it. It was just, I don't know. I just didn't see the value in telling him that, oh, I didn't know how to bring it up. Guess what, Dad? I
Yeah.
was only 2 blocks from your house, and I caught the bus home, and I just was like, oh no, I'm not considering. I was going home and I'm showering. I'm not telling my mother, I'm not telling anybody. You think you're going to forget, and no, you're not.
Mm. Yeah, that's not something you forget about.
You went off to college, and the miracle I survived. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did,
well, thank you very much.
because
And
here
that's
you
why I
are.
said, so, when I got out of my husband never hit me. So wasn't really thinking, oh, I'm not in a violent relationship, because
Yeah.
I stayed up for myself. But, as I look back, I was like, God, he said such horrible things. So it was a lot of verbal and emotional abuse.
Yeah.
I was the one who took care of the money. And so, it was mind games and manipulation with money. But I was like, oh, no, no, no. This bill is for this. This is for this. And I'm sorry that you gambled some money away. And you say they're going to break a leg. But, boo, they're going to take a leg, because this is for the girls.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. I was in an abusive relationship, and it was mental and emotional
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
verbal. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just as bad. Like, I probably would have
If
rather
not
gotten
worse.
socked in the face,
Me too,
you
because
know?
I think the physical heals, oh, it looks bad, but the emotional wear and tear, it
Yeah.
just chips away at who you are, your self-esteem and your self-worth, and you're just like, wait a damn minute. And then when my daughter says, Mommy, are we going to a hotel again? Yeah. And
Hmm.
it's, oh, hell no. Now that's it. It was like, now look,
Yeah.
if you can't get out for yourself, you got to get out for them, because they're little, but they've seen enough. They've heard enough.
Yeah.
They've experienced enough.
Was he ever verbally abusive towards them?
The only thing that I didn't care for was that he compared the two younger girls.
Hmm.
And it was like, they're two different people. What does she need to be like her? Let her just be
Yeah.
herself. And so that became a bone of contention. It was, okay, I gotta go. Because this isn't gonna happen. It could have gone there, but I said, nah. And that's why I was like, that good, stage left, we gotta go. You gotta, walk away from everything, which pretty much I did. I had to start over financially, emotionally, mentally. We
Yeah.
were in therapy. Gosh, we were in therapy for years after that. Once, because I left several times, but the last time that I left, yeah, I was like, okay, we
Yeah.
need, what did I say? We needed detoxing, debriefing. We needed, like, okay, whatever the head shrinking process is, we need it. And yeah, and that's kind of where I started writing the first book, because it really chronicled where did I experience pain from the beginning, and what was that all about? How did it lead to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and how I felt about myself, and then how I finally, there was a breaking point that I said, "Oh, I ain't going out like this. This is it. You've done too much for yourself to just let yourself slip in a way into depression or
Yeah.
whatever." So it was deciding I was worth the fight.
I was having this conversation, one of the other episodes.
Okay.
She was in a physically and mentally abusive relationship. And we
Okay.
were talking about how kind of just like depression, like when you're in it, they kind of take away little pieces of you, just like teeny tiny pieces at a time,
Mhm.
until at some point you're just like, who the am I?
Yeah, you
You
don't
know,
even
you
recognize
don't
yourself.
even, yeah, you don't know who you
Yeah.
are.
It was like, I wasn't like this years ago. What happened?
Yeah.
What was, what happened? I wasn't like this.
And then other people around you just don't understand why you don't leave,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
because that was the common question. I did a presentation for an organization called El Centro de Amistad, the Friendship Center in
Mm-hmm.
the valley of, Van Nuys, California, San Fernando Valley. And it was part of their mental health awareness month for May. And so I was like, ooh, and I was asked to do a presentation and a training, but from a BIPOC lens, Black, Indigenous, and people of color.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about how it's an equal opportunity to destroy it. And so a lot of the visuals that I used were people that you would have no idea, oh my God, there. You're not experiencing homelessness, you may not be destitute, but you're still in a very unhealthy relationship. And then, just the inherent traumas of being a person of color, and then like, do I go to law enforcement? Oh my God, they don't, how do I do this? And like many women, do I turn this person in because they're the breadwinner? But for me, it wasn't that way because I made more money than him. It just worked out that way that I made more money than him, and
Mm-hmm.
he just didn't have that hold over me like that. But there were other emotional factors, the church and religion. What are people gonna say? And oh, I'm
Yeah.
like, look, God would not sanction insanity and danger
Yeah.
because it's going to escalate. It's going to escalate.
Yeah. One of the reasons for me to stay was I'm a Christian. I don't believe in divorce.
Uh,
I'm like, um,
well, we
yeah.
drinking out of the same cup.
Yeah. I can't do that, you know.
Oh, I'm gonna fight
Eh,
for it. Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna get better.
Let's have a baby. That'll fix it.
Ooh,
I'm very grateful that we never had a child together.
okay, okay.
Yeah. When we tried.
Oh,
I laugh now, but I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm so glad that that didn't happen. And plus, I was really young. Um,
okay, okay,
we got married when I was 21.
okay.
So
That's
I
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
I was really young. And it's funny that people blame my divorce on how young we were. And I'm like, no, that's not it at all, dude. Nope.
Ooh, you have no idea. That's not
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you were just young. You didn't know what you wanted.
Yeah, an assumption, a presupposition,
Yeah.
and it's like, really? Are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't ask me.
Exactly.
that's why I do what I do now, because I just want, the surface stuff. That's why, like we have the hard conversations on my social media platforms. We discuss things that are like, oh my God, yeah, she said that. And it's like, okay, that's a way for me to weed people out too. It's like I really just want moms that are dealing with some stuff and they feel like there's nobody out there who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about. But I want you to know that you can get through this. It's not going to be easy, but you can still overcome.
Yeah. It's hard to
Yeah.
do too, to put yourself out there and put out things that are like, oh my gosh, she said that. Because I guess what I'm trying to say is like when you do that and people leave, those just
Mhm.
weren't your people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in a point where I was like, there's no offense taken.
Yeah.
No, none. No offense taken. Because I want my community to feel like they belong, that
Mm-hmm.
it's a community of support. So, yeah, eventually, where there's not one on one coaching, there's group coaching. So, if you're not ready to speak yet, but you're wanting to be a part of a group of women
Mm-hmm.
that, moms are, trying to navigate this thing. So, eventually, you might want to speak up one day.
Yeah. You're on Instagram, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your handle?
My handle is at HERstory Reimagined. And the her is H period, E period, R period, story reimagined.
Awesome. I will
And
definitely link it in the show notes for
okay,
the listeners.
fabulous.
Yeah.
And then on the Facebook page, it's capital HER, lowercase story, and then reimagined.
All one word?
Actually, no, two words on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Nice.
so it's important to me that every woman, whoever she is, well, however she identifies as her, can reimagine her story.
I love it.
Thanks.
So, right in this moment, are you forever learning and growing?
Ever learning. I am
Yeah.
a forever student. I learned from life. I learned from people. I learn, whatever curriculum I'm interested in, coaching, all of that. I'm just learning. I'm interested in learning how to dig, below the water. Yeah. I
See how
thought the
far you can
surface.
dig.
Yeah. I was like, the surface is the surface. That's what we see and hear. But there's more to us than that.
Mm-hmm. Every person out there has a beautiful beast within.
Oh, and
Yeah.
we don't know what those drivers are, those memories, beliefs, and values, that experiences, meta programs, all that stuff that
Mm-hmm.
comes together and it's combustible. And you're not even so subconscious. It's
Yeah.
ooh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I got triggered. Ooh,
Um, the how finding out that we're triggered and why, figuring out why we're triggered. Because you being triggered says something about you, not the person who said or did the
and when
thing.
you understand that, you own the power to
Yeah.
do whatever the hell you really say you want to do in life, or how you
Mm-hmm.
want to show up. It's like, okay, that's your stuff. That's not mine. What is it,
Yeah.
Eleanor Roosevelt? What you think of me is none of my business.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a book with that title too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to read it for one of my psychology classes in
Class.
college.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old psych class.
Oh my gosh, psych was my first major. I wanted to be a child psychologist,
Okay.
and I just know that I know me and I internalize everything, so I knew I probably couldn't handle that. But it's interesting that now, years later, I'm in coaching. So I'm going back into psychology pretty much. So.
And we're dealing with somebody's inner child.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. My business is a blend of life coaching and personal training. So it's training from the inside out. Because exercise is like so amazing for you, right? But all of it's mental. Like everything is psychology and what we were talking about.
One more time. You can do this. I'm tired. Oh, I can't. Or I'm busy. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Or no. It's almost like do the opposite of whatever the hell you just said in your head. Do the opposite.
Yeah.
That's my running story. I was like, that isn't a thought of productivity. Or I was like, girl, that's a cop out. Girl, do the opposite of that.
And sometimes
it's not always easy to catch. So
yeah. I was just gonna say, and sometimes it is the rest that you need, and you have to listen to your body. And it's not, oh, I don't feel like it today. It's holy crap, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I need sleep, instead of going to the gym.
Now that's different than I don't feel like it.
I don't want to.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to. It's like, and tell me when you want to go and just sweat bullets, and maybe it gets to a point where you want to. Yeah. There were times when I was really doing the work for personal training, and really, I got 4 good workouts, really good ones this week. But it was like, if you stop one time, you might be okay. But you went to the second day. The brain is like, oh, we're digging this. We love this comfort. And I'm like, damn it, I gotta start back again. Yeah. I gotta reroute you again.
That's funny. I used to be like that. And now I'm like, I have a garage gym at my house. Nice. So I'm like, and I'm like a heavy barbell chick. I like to lift heavy shit. So in the morning, I'm like, I'm going to the bar.
Well, I love it. Yeah. I have my 8s and 10s that I worked my way up to. And then if I don't do anything, you're back to 5s, huh? So, it's like I've got 5, 8, 10. And it's like, oh my gosh. But I want to do boxing now. So.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Yeah. The beauty of having to go up and down in weights, your body remembers. If it's been a thing that you did consistently, your body remembers. So usually it's only one day in the 5s, and then the next day you're like, oh, okay, I remember. Like muscle memory.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is not, we need something more. It's like, oh, well, you got this. Remember, you got this. Yeah. It's like, okay, move back, move on up. Okay, let's do more, body weight. Okay, we can do that. Yeah. We can, plank a little longer. Okay.
What's your favorite exercise, whether it's lifting or cardio or whatever?
Gosh, it just depends on my damn mood, Katie. Okay. Because
that's the correct answer.
But I do like getting outside. So sometimes I just need to walk or run. And then there are other times when I need the weight because I need to. I like the way my body looks from the weight training. I like the toning. I like the shape. Mm-hmm. So that's what I have to tell myself when I'm like, oh, it's 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love it. I love different things. And so that's, I guess, what kind of fits my personality. But, I try to do more. I think I want to do more. I haven't done it, but I want to do more, with weights and, whether it's standing weights, more my body weight, whatever, more than the cardio. Because I'm getting older and it's like, my body's like, what was that? That was supposed to do something? And it's almost laughing like, that doesn't do anything for us anymore. That was a tickle. A tickle. I was like, be dead. And I'm like, no, you need to do something different now.
Well, if it helps coming from a certified personal trainer,
I would love to hear more.
the weight training is actually more beneficial than the cardio is good for you. And I'm learning to not say but. The cardio is good for you, and the strength training is what will produce longevity over the cardio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bones, muscle, just.
Yes. Because when you're strength training, you're actually building bone too. So
Okay. That's good.
I've known people to reverse what is it before it's osteoporosis? Oh, I forgot the word.
Arthritis or something.
It's like pre-osteoporosis, but I can't remember the name. Osteopenia, maybe? Don't quote me on that.
I don't. Yeah.
But I've heard of people who have, we're going to call it osteopenia for now. And then when I find out I'm wrong, yeah, no, I'll keep it in, even if it's wrong. But yeah, it's been known to like start reversing the process of moving into osteoporosis, just the weight training. So
and I also know too is I used to have like arthritis in my shoulder. I don't have it anymore.
Nice.
Ever since I, do, sit-ups, I mean, just the planks, all the stuff, the weight, the different movements.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. It's not that stiffness and that excruciating pain that I had. I was like, dang, what was that? Yeah. But I wasn't moving. I wasn't doing anything like that. It's like, oh, wow. I think that was during COVID when I was teaching at home. So I was like, oh, I need to move.
Oh, there's also another study. I think it's from Australia. I'd have to find it, but it's starting to link strength training to lowering the risk. It's lowering the risk of getting Alzheimer's disease.
Girl,
yeah, I'll find it.
Finish today. Guess who's getting on the damn gym? And
yeah, or I think you could probably Google Australian strength training, Alzheimer's, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it's like, I love the way I feel after. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
I probably could.
You could. You're pretty badass, though.
Yeah, the old stuff. I give it a try, I give it the old college try. Yeah. I was like, yeah. I love the way I hated it when I first started. And I said, and so. So I just told myself, and so. What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, and it's like, so what does that have to do with anything? Isn't this what you committed to yourself? And I was like, ooh. I told you, I had these little conversations. Ooh, look what that was. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good place to end our little chat.
Okay.
But I do have one more question for you, which I ask everybody at the end of every single episode. And that is, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Gosh, one piece of advice. Gosh, I've got about 5, but I'll just go with one. Love yourself. Therefore, you can love others.
Mic drop.
I was like, wow, the raspiness really kicked in.
Love yourself.
And I know that sounds cliche, but because loving yourself includes trusting yourself, feeling you're just really good, that you're valuable. See yourself before you seek to be seen. See yourself.
I love it.
Well, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lorena Belcher signing off. Until next time.